हिमांशु, आदित्य, ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रेट, बहुत ही बढ़िया गाइस। और फटाफट से फ्रेंड्स वीडियो भी ऑन कर लो, आज तो आपका फेवरेट सेशन है। कितनी क्वेरीज आई आपकी, कितने डाउट्स आए कि सर एमएनए में क्या होता है, एमएनए पे एक सेशन चाहिए हमें। तो जिनको भी एमएनए के फील्ड के बारे में जानना है गाइस, फटाफट से वीडियो भी ऑन कर लीजिए। हाँ जी, यूट्यूब वाली जनता, क्या आप तक भी आवाज पहुंच पा रही है? फटाफट से चैट में कंफर्म करके बताएंगे। अर्शिद, चंद्रा, क्या बात है। एंड लिंक्डइन पे भी एक बार चेक कर लेते हैं क्या हमारा सेशन लाइव हो गया है। चेक वंस। यस, वी आर लाइव ऑन लिंक्डइन एज वेल। क्या बात है, ग्रेट। मयंक, वंदना, काफी लोग जुड़ते जा रहे हैं, ग्रेट। सौरभ एक बार रीज्वाइन करो, आई थिंक ऑडियो का इशू नहीं है। काफी लोगों की कंफर्मेशन आ गई है कि ऑडियो एंड वीडियो इज क्लियर। तो कितने लोग भाई एमएनए के सेशन के लिए एक्साइटेड है? चैट में एक्साइटेड लिख के बताओ भाई। Who all are excited to know about the field of mergers and acquisitions? कौन कौन डील्स की प्रोफाइल में जाना चाहता है? हिमांशु, क्या बात है, सबसे पहले हिमांशु का आया है। मयंक, आदिल, रिद्धि, पुलकित, ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रेट, बहुत ही बढ़िया बहुत ही बढ़िया। हाँ जी भाई, यूट्यूब वाली जनता बता दो भाई। अभिषेक एंड अदर व्यूअर्स ऑन यूट्यूब, फटाफट से कंफर्म कर दीजिए कौन कौन एक्साइटेड है। सभी का आ गया है। एंड आज हमारे साथ नेहा गुप्ता मैम हैं। वी आर जस्ट वेटिंग फॉर हर टू ज्वाइन एंड देन वील स्टार्ट द सेशन। गाइस तब तक मेरे को ये बताओ कि एमएनए सुन के माइंड में सबसे पहले क्या आता है? एक वर्ड में बताएंगे कि माइंड में सबसे पहले क्या आता है एमएनए की फील्ड के बारे में सुन के। क्या होने वाला है यहाँ पे? इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग, ओके। वैल्यूएशन, क्या बात है क्या बात है। एंड नेहा गुप्ता मैम हैव आल्सो ज्वाइन द सेशन। मैं एक मिनट उनको को-होस्ट बना दूं। राइट
Good
राइट
evening, everyone.
right. So Neha Gupta ma'am is here and everyone is super excited for the session of M&A. Let me introduce Neha Gupta ma'am to everyone. Guys, Neha ma'am is a director at one of the big four. She has immense experience in the field of M&A, more than 15 years, and she is an authority for the profiles of mergers and acquisitions. तो आपके जितने क्वेश्चंस आते हैं ना मेरे पास कि सर एमएनए की प्रोफाइल में क्या होता है, हमें एमएनए में करियर बनाना है, डील्स में जाना है, वैल्यूएशंस में जाना है, फाइनेंस में जाना है, आज आपके सारे सवालों का जवाब आपको मिल जाएगा, राइट? So we welcome you, Neha ma'am, for the most awaited session of M&A. Welcome to the session, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. I hope I am loud and clear and there's no audio issues with anybody.
Yes, yes, perfectly fine, perfectly fine. All audio and video. Great, great. तो नेहा मैम, एक ना सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन आता है सबके माइंड में, मैं सारे लर्नर्स के बिहाफ पे आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा। आजकल जैसे बहुत सारे मर्जर सुनने में आते हैं कि आईटीसी का सुनने में आ रहा है कि शायद डीमर्जर होने वाला है। आदित्य बिरला का सुनने में आ रहा है कि आदित्य बिरला इज गोइंग टू एक्वायर टीसीएनएस क्लोथिंग। तो क्या एज सीए फ्रेशर, एज न्यूली क्वालिफाइड सीए, क्या हमको भी बिग फर्म्स में, बिग फोर्स में इन वाले डील्स पे काम करने का मौका मिलने वाला है? एमएनए की फील्ड में एग्जैक्टली होने क्या वाला है? क्या ऐसी बड़ी बड़ी डील्स में भी हमको काम करने का मौका मिलेगा? और मर्जर एंड एक्विजिशन एक्चुअल में है क्या? दिस लुक्स एज अ वेरी फैंसी टर्म, लेकिन एक्चुअल में इसमें काम क्या होता है? वी वुड लाइक टू हियर दैट फ्रॉम यू मैम।
Sure. There are two answers to this. Population is more comfortable with English or Hindi here, or both.
I think a mix is fine. Both
Mix is
languages are
fine.
fine. Yeah.
So there are two answers to this. So while we are talking, this deal is being done by one of the big fours. And secondly, yes, we get to work not on deal of this size and stature, but something which is much, much sizable than this. Like I'm currently working on a deal which is valued at approx $2 billion. So that is the quantum volume of deal that you get to manage, that you get to be part of. And before we directly jump on to what do we get to do, I would also like to make everyone understand how M&A profile is basically structured, because it is not how it looks from outside. It is very, very different. So maybe Archit, if you have questions structured around that, then I'll take it as and when the questions come. Otherwise, I can start with a brief introduction as well.
Yes, if that would be perfect. We can start with a brief introduction about the profile, and then I'll take up the questions which come in the chat.
Sure. So a quick introduction for myself. I am Neha Gupta. I have been with M&A for a little over than 15 years now. And it has been a super, super exciting journey. And I can very proudly say that at least I am one of those employees who has not cribbed even once in last 15 years. So that's the kind of excitement that the profile has to offer. It has so much of newness, so much of exciting stuff. Like you open newspaper, you read about it, and you feel elated that you have been part of this deal in some way or the other. Now M&A is very vast. Like no one individual can see the entire M&A in itself, because today we are in the world of specialization. So someone who's able to initiate a deal, an M&A, and goes on to conclude and implement it is just not possible, because there are various stages of an M&A and there are various facets of an M&A. So if we start with various stages of the M&A, how does M&A work? Hota kaise M&A? So basically, firstly, there will be a need of an M&A, which is also known as an inorganic way to grow. Yeah. So when a corporate feels that I need to upscale myself, achieve a certain revenue, achieve a certain size, the only two ways they can do it. Either they can grow organically, where they work on their capacity, they expand, they set up a new plant, etc., etc. Or if that's not the strategy, then as someone very rightly wrote about synergy, they would look for more synergistic opportunities. Like if they are, I'm sure all of you would have heard terms like backward integration, forward integration. तो वहां पर एक नीड होती है कि हमें अब किस किस स्टेज पे इंटीग्रेट करना है. Where is it that we are looking for adding on to more capacity? Are we looking to do that on the supplier side? Are we looking to do that on the market side? Or are we going to do that on the production, sales, distribution side? And depending on that need, depending on need for that synergy, you would be looking for a target. That's where the real journey of an M&A starts. Now, there is a different perspective to that as well. There will be some corporates and there may be few industry where there are not so many players. So the acquirer might be confident that I am looking for this A, B, C target. And then the journey starts with those limited 2-3 targets. But ऐसा भी situation हो सकता है that I know that I need an asset, but I don't know that out of 1,000 target companies, which is the one which is the biggest fit for me. That's where either the internal M&A team of the group is going to help them, or they are going to hire a consultant, a banker to show them deals. Now that banker would understand what is the need, what is the deal size that they are looking for, culture कैसा है, promoters कैसे हैं, कैसे gel होएगा, because deal is not very different than a marriage meeting. So everything has to fit well for a deal to be successful. So assuming targets have been shown, one or two targets have been shortlisted. But abhi to journey shuru hui hai. I've just gotten to see the candidate. You just gotten to see the target. How do you know whether you should go ahead with the acquisition or not? How do you know what is the best price for it? How do you know that cultural values, etc., are going to match? We don't know. It might be a bad deal. It might be a failure at the end. Employees of both the companies might not gel well. The values and policies may not gel well. So that's when the entire journey of an evaluation starts, which consulting firm like ours do, wherein we segment it into again different deal stages and different facets of the deal. So there are multiple ways of evaluating a target. We would look at the financial, we would look at the commercial side, we would look at the forensic side of it, we would look at the legal side of the target, we would look at HR, which is human resource, IT systems कैसे है, SAP systems वगैरह कैसे है, हमारे infra से match होता है कि नहीं. What about the integrity of the promoters? So that's also one part that people would like to see. That what if, the books are all cooked up? What if the promoters do not have a great history and they are not the set of individuals you want to go and, associate with? So in those situations, a very extensive, detailed due diligence is conducted, and based on the results of that due diligence, that the buyer or the seller proceed with the M&A.
Right.
Now, typically you would see that these diligences are conducted on the target. But sometimes even the target might want to see who's going to acquire me. Even I want to conduct a due diligence on that. So that's the diligence phase. Then, I will not go into very details of it because then that's another masterclass for that. So,
Right.
then there would be another stage where we would like to structure the deal. हमको deal structure करना है कि हमें asset खरीदना कैसे है. Should we buy the shares? Should we buy the assets? खरीदने में पैसे कितने लगेंगे? Tax कितना लगेगा? So there will be a structure around it. Finally, there will be legal document. You'll have to sign agreements because मैं आपको मुंह बोल कर तो खरीद नहीं सकती. I'll have to put in papers around it. I'll have to have very tightened clauses around it so that tomorrow there is no dispute. Tomorrow there is no challenge between the parties. And finally, once the acquisition is done, then you have to make sure that both the companies are integrated. तो आपको उनके HR पॉलिसीज मैच करने पड़ेंगे, IT सिस्टम्स मैच करने पड़ेंगी, आपको देखना पड़ेगा where is it, what are the common places that the company is going to operate, licenses, approvals are all handy, parties को inform करना पड़ेगा, creditors को, suppliers को, customers को, and all of that. So this is basically a deal life cycle. So depending on what your aptitude is, where your interest lies, you'll have to pick up one aspect of the deal as your career option. It could be either deal making, which is corporate finance. It could be valuation, wherein you get to value the asset. It could be the diligence. Now, diligence also has multiple teams. There will be a financial diligence team, tax diligence, legal diligence, forensic diligence, human resource, IT diligence, integrity diligence. So, like that, there will be a team who will be taking care of the structure. There will be a team who will be taking care of the documentation, the agreements, etc. And finally, all of these teams and the compliance team will take care of, whether necessary returns have been filed, necessary forms have been filed, necessary approvals have been taken. So this is basically, the conjoined, the coming together of so many teams make one M&A. So it is not that you want to be part of an M&A. From next time, you need to be clear which part of an M&A you want to be a part.
Right. Great. So many questions are coming up in the chat. Number one being, क्या ये field is only for chartered accountants or other professionals can also enter the field of M&A?
So by now you would have understood it is not just a chartered accountant job. A chartered accountant alone cannot do a deal making. We would need MBAs, we would need lawyers, we would need people who are experts in information technology. We would need people who are great in doing, the HR, the human resource part of it. So it's various streams of an MBA and finance and law who come together to make a deal happen.
Right, 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 right. So YouTube and LinkedIn, all people have started putting queries in the chat. One more question is coming up, Neha ma'am. How can a CA enter into the field of M&A? ये तो मोस्ट आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन है कि हम पहुंचे कैसे। हमको जाना तो उसी ड्रीम रोल में है, M&A की लाइफ साइकिल में, चाहे कोई सा भी पार्ट हो, वेदर इट इज FDD, वैल्यूएशंस और मे बी फ्यूचर में इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग, बट हाउ टू एंटर इनटू द फील्ड ऑफ M&A? व्हाट शुड बी द राइट पाथ? ओवर टू यू नेहा मैम।
So basically, अब इसका कोई there is no formula to it. How it works that अगर तुम किसी चीज को चाहो तो उस पे पूरी शिद्दत के साथ लग जाओ. Like you have to jot down all the aspiring applicant, I mean the companies where you want to apply for. And I would suggest that if you say have an amazing academic and professional credentials, etc., then there are these companies, consulting firms, boutique consulting, who's very eager to get you. And now you know how to get into these companies. It could be either HR route, it could be through an existing employee connect, through some influence. These are the most important routes. But in case if you have none of this, if you're not getting to know about an opportunity, if you're not getting to have an employee who can refer you, etc., then always start small. And how do you start small? Get into a smaller setup of a consulting firm or an M&A firm where it is very much easy for you to get into, where you do not get to see the entire M&A life cycle, but you certainly get to see part of it. Now that experience places you very differently than many other candidates. And when we are shortlisting a profile, we definitely give weightage to a person who's done a little bit of an M&A than a person who's done no M&A.
Right.
Or
right.
if you're say looking for financial side, like there are many answers to it because there are many profiles that we're talking about. Like you're wanting to get into an FDD, a financial due diligence. We are also very keen to look into people who has gotten relevant accounting and audit experience. When you're looking for legal due diligence, then we are also okay with people who's done internship with legal firms. So आपको अपना event of mind decide करना है. See companies which are within your reach, not out of your reach, how you have to go there, find out connects, reach through LinkedIn, connect through people who's been there. And I mean, it's not a very difficult journey. If you want it, you get it.
Right. Right. Some people are asking, I am into auditing and want to switch my profile to M&A. I think this has been covered by Neha ma'am, that yes, you can definitely switch from auditing to M&A. Would CA plus CFA would be relevant, and would it act as a leverage for getting into an M&A profile?
Yes,
CA plus
certainly. It's a lethal combination because in these people are very good with the accounting tax part of it and also the ratios, the formulas and all of that. So this is one of the most preferred combination, I would say. So combination of CA and a lawyer, CA and an MBA, CA and a CFA, an MBA in Excel. All of these are very, very relevant qualifications for an MBA.
Right. So guys, if you do any other degree along with CA, that is going to add a value, and definitely it will increase your chances to get into the field of M&A. Right. Now coming on to the question, guys, YouTube and LinkedIn, you can also post your queries related to the field of M&A. एक और कॉमन क्वेश्चन आता है मैम कि करियर ट्रैजेक्टरी कैसे रहने वाली है और वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस कैसा रहने वाला है इन द प्रोफाइल ऑफ M&A?
Career trajectory, so I'll take the easier part first. Career trajectory is going to be amazing because this is one profile which earns a lot of money. Like, it's not like routine compliance or routine audit job, etc. So the engagements are priced, they earn a lot of premium for the consulting firm. So be it pay packages or bonuses or growth, that's always on a steep curve. You grow very rapidly if you are dedicated, if you're giving your hard work. There is no fixed term promotions. You can have consistent accelerated promotions on fast track basis. So that part is very well taken care of. And then being into this profile for a couple of years, you become relevant for many other related profiles with many other, big consulting firms, etc. So that is also a parallel opportunity that gets open for you. With respect to work-life balance, I I would like to keep mom on that. That's not a very positive side of it. But I would say that uh, you have to be very dedicated. This is kind of a profile where there is no season. It's not seasonal. There is no November return filing. There is no July return filing. There is no March ka audit. So there can be an M&A in any part of the year. You may need to cancel your vacations. You may need to cancel your leave. You need to be available. So typically, I would say it's a profile which demands it.
Right.
So I would
This is
not
not a
guide you there.
right. This is not a compliance job, basically.
Yes.
If there's a project, there's a deal, then definitely there would be a
Stakes are so much high, right? If I'm talking about a $2 billion deal, मेरी एक गलती से क्या हो जाएगा? I mean, it'll cause so much of loss to the Indian economy.
Exactly.
So that's the kind of stake that you're talking about.
Exactly. And guys, जो लोग ये वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस पूछ रहे हैं, भाई करियर की शुरुआत में आपको वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस क्यों चाहिए? ये बताओ, शादी आपकी हुई नहीं,
ये
अभी
सवाल
अभी
आएगा ही
कॉलेज
नहीं.
रहे हैं.
Once you are into the
Right.
profile, आप पूछोगे ही नहीं work life balance because the profile itself is so interesting.
Exactly. And ये ऐसी monotonous profile नहीं है guys आपके audit और tax की तरह. Every day is going to be a new challenge and a new learning, right? And the people who are asking for a guidance session, let me tell you, Neha ma'am is there on the Gurukul platform. You can book a one-to-one session with her, provided she has time and available slots. बहुत limited slots होते हैं मैम के, तो आप में से जितने भी लोग interested हैं guys, जरूर से मैम के साथ session book कर सकते हैं. You can avail the one-to-one guidance with her, right? हाँ जी, एक और क्वेश्चन आ रहा है मैम. व्हाट आर द पर्टिकुलर स्किल्स विच आर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द प्रोफाइल ऑफ एमएनए? ऐसी कौन सी प्रैक्टिकल स्किल्स चाहिए या ऐसे कौन सा स्किल सेट हमारे पास होना चाहिए सो दैट आवर चांसेस इंक्रीज फॉर द प्रोफाइल ऑफ एमएनए?
So as I said that since there are so many diverse profiles, again the skills also get very diverse. But if I have to give you a common answer for all of the questions, you need to have common sense. You need to be aware of what's happening around. You need to be updated of the news that's happening. Newspaper रोज पढ़ना है आपको. अगर आपने वो कर लिया, take it from me, you're there. Because what we do in M&A is what you hear and read every day. Nothing very fancy about it. So being updated, knowing what's happening around you, that's very important. Very, very important. Because M&A is just about placing two right set of candidates together. And there is no formula. You need to understand which company does what, which target is looking for what, which client is looking for what. So the more you're aware of the industry scenario, economic scenario, business scenario, the better you will be at your work. Secondly, you need to be very good with numbers. So Excel analysis le lo, formulas run karna, ratios, reading and interpreting in financial statement is very important, very, very important. Because that's where the core of the work lies. So get very acquainted with the whole financial statements disclosure, the disclosures that are made on the website of the company. Pick up some big companies that you probably aspire to be part of, etc. Go through their website, get to see their businesses, products, segments, how they're reporting in their financial statements, what are their disclosures for BSC, NSC, and all of that. So an overall awareness, then being aware of the laws and regulations, because M&A is something which is very, very tightly regulated, right from the income tax to Companies Act to exchange control with respect to cross-border deals to competition commission laws to getting any RBI approval le lo from Reserve Bank of India. So you need to be aware of what's the legal framework around, like just real estate trading is prohibited for foreigners. So you need to know कि बाहर से पैसा नहीं आ सकता. This deal can't happen. You need to know that there are certain sectors which is tightly regulated, like for defense, like for telecom. So being an overall having an overall awareness of the laws and regulation and general legal regulatory framework is very important, very crucial. Understand about industry, see how many players are there, कितने competition है, what are some of the big names, startups में क्या हो रहा है, क्या new technology आ रही है, what are the new evolution that's happening. And all of this information I've that told you, it has no premium price attached to it. All of this is very much publicly available. So if you want to test your aptitude and you want to build a career there, start reading about it.
Right, guys. So some people are saying, can we ask a few questions? Okay, Sushant, we'll unmute you once. Sushant, you can ask your question. Let me see where you are. आप एक बार hand raise कर सकते हो अपना Zoom में, and then we'll unmute you and you can ask a question. Till then, हाँ जी Sushant.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
हेलो नेहा मैम. मैम मेरे को ये पूछना था कि क्या मर्जर एंड एक्विजिशन एक वे आउट नहीं है, जैसे डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टैक्स सेव करने का या कैपिटल गेन टैक्स सेव करने का? मतलब मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टैक्स में अमेंडमेंट का रीजन ये था कि जैसे मान लो कोई पेरेंट कंपनी है एंड उसके पास काफी सारे प्रॉफिट्स हैं, मतलब सब्सिडरी कंपनी के पास काफी सारे प्रॉफिट्स हैं एंड पेरेंट कंपनी को अगर वो प्रॉफिट चाहिए तो वो उससे डिविडेंड मांगेगा, बट उस पर डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टैक्स अट्रैक्ट होता था. इससे अच्छा वो मर्ज कर लेते थे और फिर वो रिजर्व्स का पार्ट बन जाते थे.
अच्छा, ये सवाल ना नेहा मैम कहाँ से आ रहा है कि हर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के रग रग में ना टैक्स प्लानिंग घुसी हुई है कि कोई भी फील्ड हो वहां पे सबसे पहले टैक्स प्लानिंग सोचनी है हमको. जी जी नेहा
No,
मैम.
no, sir. You're right, Sushant. You're right and wrong both. I mean, this is one very, I would say, trivial part of an M&A. And this typically happens when we are talking about an internal reorganization, right? अभी तक हम M&A की बात कर रहे हैं for two third parties. Like M&A in true sense is an acquisition of a company, right? What you're talking about is basically internal restructuring, reorganization. So yes, that's true. There are not just this, there are many other efficient strategies that we say in terms of moving cash up or moving losses to another company who's profitable, or probably streamlining the legal structure. So as I said, this is not the objective of an M&A. M&A is a very wide spectrum which is done for wider objective and broader objective. This could be one of the incidental benefit, I would say. One very minute, trivial incidental benefit.
Okay, thank you.
अर्चित आप म्यूट हो गए हो.
हाँ जी. Deepak, Gaurav, we'll come to you in just a second. The people who are asking from where we can connect with Neha ma'am. So you need to go on thinkingbridge.in. यहाँ पे live mentorship का जो हमारा गुरुकुल का platform है, here you will find Neha ma'am and ma'am के availability के हिसाब से you can connect with her and take the guidance for the field of M&A. Right? हाँ जी, Deepak, we'll come to you. You can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. So
Good
my
evening,
question is, ma'am, like जैसे कि हमारे सी एंटर के बहुत ग्रुप क्लियर हो जाते हैं, तो हमें आर्टिकलशिप के लिए एक फील्ड चूज करनी पड़ती है. तो एक स्टूडेंट को आर्टिकलशिप की फील्ड फ्रॉम बिगिनिंग ही मर्जर एंड एक्विजिशन चूज कर लेनी चाहिए, या फिर उसे पहले डिफरेंट फील्ड एक्सप्लोर करनी चाहिए इन हिज आर्टिकलशिप, और आफ्टर कंप्लीटिंग आर्टिकलशिप देन उसे मर्जर एंड एक्विजिशन स्टार्ट करना चाहिए ताकि उसके पास एक ब्रॉडर व्यू आ जाए, एंड देन ही शुड स्टार्ट मर्जर एंड एक्विजिशन. और फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग वो अपना माइंड बना ले कि मेरे को फ्यूचर में अगर यही टास्क परफॉर्म करना है, सो व्हाई आई टेक द knowledge of other field, why shouldn't I start my articleship in merger and acquisition only? So what is your view about this thing?
There are two aspects of it. A, if you are certain that you're very interested for an M&A profile, etc., then go for it from the articleship. Yeah. But
Okay.
even if you start your articleship from a different profile, वो skills कभी waste नहीं होती. That helps you explore life and environment and opportunities around always. But it is just that if you are getting an opportunity with M&A and you eventually want to make your career there, then do not leave an opportunity with for articleship in M&A, because then you're much more relevant and preferred for a job there than anybody else who's not done an articleship in M&A.
Okay, so even if we will do our articleship in any other domain, then it will also be feasible for us to do.
It's just that you'll score a little lesser compared to a candidate who's done articleship in M&A. Obviously, that person might get preference over you. But yes, ये कोई eligibility criteria नहीं है that you will not be shortlisted for M&A.
Okay,
Right.
and one more question, just what the thing which motivates you to do in merger and acquisition field? Like what motivates you to choose that field, or what inspire you to becoming associate in the merger and acquisition?
So two things. A, work. As I mentioned, there has never been a day that I have not learned anything. I've not become knowledgeable by end of the day. So that always keeps my spirits high. So even if I had a rough day, I had gotten to sleep only for a few hours, that keeps me energized and active for my work. Secondly, when I see those stalwarts, those leaders there in my farm who's reached a certain pedestal, and I'm wanting to follow them. Some of these people are your mentors, your partners, etc. So merely, that's the basically charm of having a mentor or a leader who you're following. So the very objective, that very spirit helps you in getting up every day and participating in the race.
Right. Neha ma'am, I can assure you कि after this session you are going to get many CVs in your inbox.
Certainly.
हमें भी M&A की फील्ड में जाना है मैम.
हमें भी Deloitte में we have to go from 20,000 to 40,000 people, so I would love to have more and more CVs.
Great. Yeah, coming on to Gaurav. Deepak, I hope your question has been answered.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Right. एक और common question आ रहा है नेहा मैम. What are the global opportunities for the profile of M&A? This is coming from people who are mostly into the profile of taxation. तो उनको ऐसा लगता है कि डायरेक्ट टैक्स में अगर यहाँ पे फंस गए इंडिया में, तो इंडिया के बाहर उतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं मिलेंगी. लेकिन फॉर द प्रोफाइल ऑफ M&A, आर देयर ग्लोबल अपॉर्चुनिटीज एज वेल?
Certainly there is. So there are two types of opportunities that you typically encounter, you get across. One would be, so all of these consulting organizations have gotten an India M&A desk.
Right.
So because they get so many India bound deals, they need a local person over there who's aware of how India works, how Indian regulations work. So typically there are opportunities there. Secondly, we've also seen many of our colleagues moving global, and therein they have not been advising on India regulations solely, that they have upskilled themselves and being acquainted with the laws, the M&A policies, framework over there, which is not very different, because India has also evolved out of those regulations, those practices. So ये चीजें बहुत different नहीं होती है. By upskilling, by a little bit of investment, you get to be like them. So both the opportunities flow your way. But मतलब ऐसा क्यों करना है? Grow India, be part of Indian jobs. We have to create India success story here.
Exactly. एक और रिक्वेस्ट आ रही है मेरे पास, M&A की मास्टर क्लास कब आएगी? तो वील रिक्वेस्ट नेहा मैम कि जितना भी मैम टाइम निकाल पाएंगी, वील रिक्वेस्ट कि एक छोटा सा कोर्स आप सबके लिए अगर मैम बना पाए for the field of M&A, ki practically how work you've done in the Big Four in the profile of M&A to give you that practical knowledge and increase your chances for the profile of M&A.
Certainly, I would love to do that. Though it will not be a master class, it has to be a master class course running into days and weeks, but I would love to do that.
Right. राइट गाइस, गौरव यू कैन आस्क योर क्वेश्चन, फटाफट से पूछ लीजिए।
Hi, ma'am. Hello, sir. I qualified CA in May 22 attempt, and yeah, just after qualification, I started with PwC SDC in the FDD profile. Now I want to switch to the India practice as in the back end you have to do the monotonous work and all the data crunching itself, and so
Right.
it is rare at our level to be involved in to end-to-end deal. So any
Right,
Yeah,
right.
advice for
certainly,
that?
Gaurav. There are enough and more opportunities that's there with Deloitte, and so is the case with other big fours also. So just see the job section of our profile, of our portal, and also let me know. I can also internally refer.
Yeah,
Right.
sure, we'll do that. Thank you.
Right, Gaurav. Now you can definitely connect.
एक क्वेश्चन
Right.
मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ यहाँ पे ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ एवरीवन
हाँ
सो
जी,
नेहा you told that it's a very lucrative field in terms of salary and perks and the other benefits and bonuses, but if you could just give us a the starting salary range and the earning potential like couple of years later when you're like at the peak, so I think that would really give people an idea about the potential of this field. So
That's like revealing too many details, and I don't think
Right.
that's the correct platform.
Right.
But all I
Exactly.
can say that keeping the dignity of the job and the profession, it is certainly very lucrative if it's coming from me. Let's not assign numbers to it. Maybe we can
Exactly.
discuss it offline. Yeah.
Right. But I can assure you guys one thing, that it is definitely more than the traditional fields of audit and tax. Right.
Much better, much more than that.
Right. हाँ जी guys, coming on to Jainam Shah. Jainam, you can ask your question quickly, फटाफट से.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask that you are into the field in M&A from a very long time. So, can you share any of your experience or any of your project you have been worked in, or something that you pull out and that motivates you and boosts you to work more in M&A field?
I think there is not one work. The very the right energy that I get to keep myself motivated is basically I truly get very diverse set of work every single day. So every day I feel very much redundant that I need to upskill myself because what I learned yesterday is not useful anymore. I need to think of more strategies, more ideas to innovate and to adopt best practices to advise my clients. So that newness every day is key. Secondly, you have so much of positive energy around you. You get to work with such a learned team, both your peers, people who work with you, people who you work with. So I would say a very power-packed, efficient, energized team who's very competitive and secondly also there to support each other. So these things I think make a better workplace and make the job and work also very good.
Right. Guys, the people who are asking कि भाई ये प्रोफाइल में इतना मजा क्यों आता है, I would answer in one word कि this is not a monotonous profile like other one. This is the most dynamic profile. जो मैम ने बताया, डिफरेंट चीजें आपको यहाँ पे करने को मिल सकती हैं. ड्यू डिलिजेंस हो गया, वैल्यूएशंस हो गई, अलग अलग डील्स में आपको पार्टिसिपेट करने का मौका मिलेगा. तो दिस इज गोइंग टू अ वेरी डायनामिक प्रोफाइल जहाँ पे आप रोज कुछ नया सीखने वाले हैं. कोई भी टास्क आपकी मोनोटोनस नहीं होने वाली है. राइट. And people who are looking to make a career in the field of finance, M&A is the place to start with. Right. हाँ जी. तो कमिंग ऑन टू अनिरुद्ध, हम आपके पास आते हैं इन जस्ट फ्यू मिनट्स. एक और क्वेश्चन आ रहा है नेहा मैम. अच्छे पुरानी लड़ाई करा रहे हैं एमबीए और सीएस की. People are asking why MBAs are preferred over CAs. Before Neha ma'am answer this, guys, मैं आपको पहले ही बता चुका हूँ, MBA और CA की कहीं पे भी लड़ाई नहीं है. अगर कोई प्रोफाइल है तो दोनों ही लोग एलिजिबल है, चाहे MBA हुए चाहे CA हुए. जिसके पास स्किल्स होंगी वो जाएगा आगे. इट इज ऑल अबाउट द स्किल्स. डिग्री दोनों ही एलिजिबल है. ओवर
और
टू यू नेहा मैम.
बंदों में भी फर्क पड़ता है. I have been able to beat so many MBAs in my life. I'm not an MBA, I'm a CA. So
Right.
agar there are some skills which only a certain profile of MBA can offer, let's respect that. But then there are certain job profiles where both MBAs and CAs are eligible, and there is no preference given to one over the other. Is
Exactly.
clearly the candidate. You know, sometimes a degree doesn't make you. There are some
Exactly.
innate abilities, your confidence, your problem solving abilities, which make you fit for a job opportunities and not just qualification.
एग्जैक्टली. गाइस, जैसा हमेशा डिस्कस करते हैं, स्कोप आपकी डिग्री का नहीं आपका होने वाला है. इट इज अबाउट द पर्सन, अबाउट द कैंडिडेट, नॉट ओनली अबाउट द डिग्री. राइट. कमिंग टू यू अनिरुद्ध, फटाफट से क्वेश्चन पूछ लीजिए. Then we'll close the session in the next 10 minutes. Quickly, you can answer your question. You can post your questions in the chat also, and you can raise your hand.
Good
हाँ जी
evening, ma'am.
अनिरुद्ध.
Ma'am, I want to ask, how can a CA fresher join in the M&A if articleship is in the audit field?
Demand supply है. If you find an opportunity, a vacant position, go apply for it.
But
Right.
in every post और मैंने जितनी भी मतलब अभी तक देखा तो सब में ये था कि everyone wants experience of 2 or 3 years. तो fresher कहाँ से शुरू करें?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. We hire enough and more freshers also. That's what I'm saying, that you need to be aware of the options, the openings around you, and you need to pursue it very diligently. And if there is a better way to push your CV through an internal connect, etc., then nothing like it. Otherwise, there are many job opportunities that we put there on LinkedIn every single day, and we do a lot of screening of the CVs which we receive on LinkedIn every day. So that is a very good platform, I would say.
Right.
स्टार्टिंग में CA फाइनल के अटेम्प्ट्स मैटर करते हैं क्या इसमें?
It does. But I mean, obviously, there is a certain preference, etc., is given to people who's academically and professional qualification was very strong. But then, 2-3 attempt, jitna, still we do not, disregard that so much. But beyond a certain number of attempts, then it is not.
Okay.
Then it speaks about the person also.
Thank you, ma'am.
Exactly. Guys, attempts and all, yes, they are going to matter. Screening process में हर firm की अपनी policy होने वाली है. But after that, if you get an interview opportunity, then the skills which ma'am have told you कि भाई आपको न्यूज़पेपर रोज पढ़ना है, financial statements की thorough analysis करनी आनी चाहिए, अच्छी तरह interpret करना आना चाहिए. All these skills are very relevant for the profile, and you should be aware about the deals which are happening in the market. न्यूज़पेपर रोज पढ़ना है, ये सारी चीजें हमारे पास होंगी तभी हम वो इंटरव्यू को कन्वर्ट कर पाएंगे. राइट. सो कमिंग ऑन टू यू अंशुल, फटाफट से क्विकली गो अहेड एंड आस्क योर क्वेश्चन. अंशुल, I have unmuted you. I think there's some audio issue at your end. We'll come to Rishabh first then. Rishabh, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I have recently cleared my CA intermediate and I am going to start with articleship. As we can get to know about the vacancies of stat audit and taxation on a very regular basis, the articleship, the opportunities for M&A and investment banking cannot be seen very much. Ma'am, how can we get to know about its vacancies? And even if we get to know about its vacancies, how can we prepare for its interview? Like what type of question
How can we basically
in such
prepare for the...
interviews? Like I have gone through some of the vacancies in M&A department, but I was not sure like what type of interview would happen. That's why I haven't applied for it.
Right. How to do the interview preparation basically, Neha
That'll
ma'am?
be
What
a
is
separate, yeah. That, I mean, basically, I think it requires a dedicated discussion because there is no general answer to it. Like I need to understand which part of M&A, etc. you're looking for. Maybe we can speak one-to-one for this. That'll be the best way to discuss this.
Exactly. Right. So let's take the last question. Adil and Darsh. Last two questions we'll take. We have already talked to Deepak, and then we'll close the session. Adil, फटाफट से पूछ लो भाई.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Sir, I
Yes,
would like
Adil.
to ask, like, hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
Adil.
yes.
Yeah. So, like my friend just now asked me, like, how can I prepare for this interview? Like, we can talk about it on one-to-one basis. I also wanted to know that how can I identify whether I should choose this deal-making option or valuation, maybe due diligence. Which field should I choose? Like,
Right.
you
I
just
think,
tell me.
Adil, again, this would require a detailed discussion because there are many stages of a deal, as Neha ma'am mentioned. There's valuation, then there's due diligence. So the basic question of Adil is, Neha ma'am, ki how to choose between these three or four options which are there in a deal cycle. How to decide between whether we should go for valuation or for FDD or for any other part.
So then again, I would say that, I'm not just wanting to skip the question, but this requires a little detailed discussion. And the simple answer to it would be, what is it that you are good at? What do you think where your skills and aptitude and your interest lies? And what is it that you understand better? Because सब सारी जॉब सबके लिए तो होते नहीं है. So अगर आपको लगता है that you are really excited in the valuation field, or you think that you would be somebody who's very good in deal making, you understand that part well, or if you think that you would be good with analysis, like you're good with ratios and financial statement interpretation. So depending on what your supporting qualification, supporting experience has been, you basically choose your career.
Right.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you, Adil. Thank you. So we'll take the last question of Darsh. Darsh, you can ask your question, unmute and please go ahead. हाँ जी दर्श. आई थिंक आपके इन पे भी कुछ ऑडियो इशू है दर्श. Right. So we'll take some questions from the chat and then we'll close the session. एक और कॉमन क्वेश्चन आ रहा है नेहा हम कि ACCA वाले लोग भी the ACCA qualified are they also eligible for the profile of M&A? Can they also make a career in M&A?
I mean, we do not give much weightage to ACCA, considering our
Okay.
local qualification is making more sense here. So,
Hmm.
I mean, unless you're going for an offshore profile, where it might be more relevant, but not for the India job sites.
Right. Darsh is saying कि I am in M&A tax of Big Four, but now want to change the field. Which field would be the best to go into?
The
What would you recommend?
the world is very big, my friend. We need to discuss this. What
Right,
is it that you want to do?
right. Right, guys. So I guess we have taken all the questions and you have got a fair idea what is the field of M&A, कैसे वहाँ पे काम होता है, what are the different aspects of the M&A field, and definitely you can connect for a one-to-one session with Neha ma'am. ना where are my skills and all skills की बात हो गई है दर्श पूरी है ना. And all questions, there's all these questions coming in the chat of YouTube, LinkedIn, all these have been answered. M&A ट्रेनिंग भी शुरू करेंगे बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. राइट. ये ऐसा है ना नेहा कि हिंदुस्तान में जितना मिल जाए ना वो कम है. अभी ये सेशन भी कम लग रहा है, इसके बाद अब मैम ट्रेनिंग लेके आओ पहले. वन टू वन सेशन चाहिए, हमें ट्रेनिंग भी चाहिए. ग्रेट. मास्टर क्लास कब लॉन्च होगी? क्या बात है. राइट. सो राइट गाइस, वी हैव कवर्ड एवरीथिंग. यस, यूट्यूब पे सेशन रहेगा जरूर से. राइट. Right. So, Neha ma'am, thank you so much for sparing your time and guiding all the learners out here for the field of finance, M&A and the deal cycle. They are बहुत टाइम से शोर मचा रहे थे. They have got a fair idea now कि भाई कैसे होता है यहाँ पे काम. And all those जिनके कुछ questions अभी भी आंसर नहीं हुए हैं, go and connect with Neha ma'am on Gurukul platform. and she'll take your questions one by one. कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Surely.
Right.
So I'm sure I've not been able to do justice to everybody, but that's how the profile is about. And pardon me for that, but I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn or on a one-to-one session, or you can send me an email, wherever. I'll drop my email ID and let's take this forward. My
Right.
objective is to help you guys as much as I can. So let's find a suitable time and take this forward. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for this opportunity.
Right. Thank you, Neha ma'am. Thanks a lot for connecting and guiding the students. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining in. We'll see you in the next session.